Want to learn? Then let's talk pharmacy. In this video we are going to discuss a brief introduction to pharmacology. And to understand pharmacology well we have to start with the autonomic nervous system. First, we have to know the exact classification of the whole nervous system in order to know the exact position of the autonomic nervous system. The nervous system is classified into central and peripheral nervous systems. As we can see, the central nervous system, or CNS, consists of the brain and the spinal cord. And simply all the other nerves are called the peripheral nervous system, or PNS. And as we can see in the second diagram, the CNS gives orders to the PNS to make the body able to perform different functions. To classify the peripheral nervous system, we can say that it has two types which are either afferent or efferent. The afferent nerves have another name which is sensory, and they conduct the nerve impulse from the body to the CNS. In the opposite direction, we can find efferent nerves conducting the appropriate response to a stimulus from the CNS to the body. To memorize better, we can say efferent are emerging. Both start with the letter E, while the afferent are the opposite. Then we have to classify the efferent nerves to autonomic, which is involuntary, and not under our control. It influences most of the body organs, for example, we can't control our heartbeats. And somatic, which is completely voluntary, and under our control, it mainly affects skeletal muscles, and we usually use it in activities like walking, or cycling like this lovely girl. The autonomic nervous system is either sympathetic, which is the superhero that saves us in emergency, and to help you to memorize, sympathetic, superhero both start with the letter S, and the parasympathetic which works while you are resting or sitting in a calm environment and comforted. The exact difference between the two systems will be discussed in the coming video. So, to sum up all these classifications, the nervous system is either central consisting of the brain and the spinal cord, and peripheral which is either efferent or afferent. The efferent will be further classified to autonomic and somatic, and the autonomic will be either sympathetic or parasympathetic. Now, it's time to know some definitions. Suppose that the circle is the brain, and the stick moving down is the spinal cord. The horizontal line represents an autonomic nerve, either sympathetic or parasympathetic, and the oval part here is the affected organ. The first space between the two nerves is called synapse, where the neurotransmitter acts as a messenger from the first nerve and falls on the red circle which represents the ganglia. Each ganglion consists of a group of nerve cell bodies. The ganglia carry receptors which read the message when hit by the neurotransmitter. The message is conducted to the second nerve. The nerve before the ganglia is called preganglionic nerve, while the one after the ganglia is called postganglionic nerve. We shall notice here also that the ganglia usually lie between two nerves. The first nerve to explain here is the somatic nerve. It has no ganglia, hence no cuts, and since it is voluntary, it ends with a skeletal muscle. Here is a rule to keep: usually at the first cut, acetylcholine is released, and since the somatic nerve has no cuts, so we have the neurotransmitter acetylcholine at the end of the nerve. At the end, the space between the somatic nerve and the skeletal muscle is called motor end plate, or the neuromuscular junction. And the receptor on the muscle is NM receptor, which stands for nicotinic muscular. Now it's time for the second rule. Usually, at the first cut the receptor is nicotinic, and its type changes according to the type of the nerve. The second nerve to be explained here is the sympathetic nerve. Here we can notice the presence of ganglion, and it's near the CNS. Actually, this is very important to ease the branching of the sympathetic nervous system, to allow your body to act as one unit and face the danger. So according to our previous rules, the first neurotransmitter released is acetylcholine, and the first receptor is NN, which stands for nicotinic neuronal. So, To make it easier, if a muscle follows a nicotinic receptor it is called NM, the letter M, for muscle, and if a nerve follows a nicotinic receptor it is called NN, the letter N, for nerve. And as the sympathetic nervous system is not under our control, so it has to end with an involuntary muscle such as the smooth muscle or the cardiac muscle. And finally, at the end the neurotransmitter released is norepinephrine, and acts on either alpha or beta receptors. The last nerve to discuss here is the parasympathetic nerve. We can notice here that the ganglia are far from the CNS, since it doesn't require branching as the sympathetic one. At the ganglia the neurotransmitter is the acetylcholine, and the receptor is NN. At the end of the parasympathetic nerve also, acetylcholine is released, but this time it acts on muscarinic receptors, and it also ends with an involuntary muscle since it's not under our control. This is all for today. I hope you liked it. See you the next video. Bye.